State of Cannabis.
This is the State of Cannabis News Digest, a roundup of this week's key developments in the cannabis industry. Our top stories.
From coast to coast, America's cannabis industry is under the microscope. In California and Florida, state audits and proposed rules are taking aim at packaging and marketing that could appeal to children, with regulators weighing bans on certain flavors, images, and designs. Meanwhile, Michigan and Oklahoma face urgent product safety recalls and testing scandals, while Massachusetts and Missouri confront regulatory shakeups that could reshape their multi-billion-dollar markets. In New York, a federal court ruling strikes at the heart of the state's social equity licensing, setting a precedent that could reverberate across the country. Minnesota moves forward with its adult use rollout, even as Indiana edges closer to a debate over legalization. And in Texas, a high-stakes battle over hemp-derived THC is colliding with partisan politics in the state house. All of it comes as President Donald Trump signals support for reclassifying cannabis at the federal level, a move that could open new opportunities for research, banking, and taxation. Stay with us. The details behind these stories and what they mean for the future of cannabis in America are just ahead.
And now here is the deeper look at the key events in the cannabis world this week.
For the first time since taking office, President Donald Trump has publicly addressed the stalled federal proposal to reschedule marijuana. Speaking at the White House on August 11th, Trump said the administration is looking at moving cannabis from Schedule I to Schedule III under the Controlled Substances Act, in a shift that could ease criminal penalties, open new research opportunities, and allow cannabis businesses to claim tax deductions currently banned under federal law. The plan, which was initiated by the Biden administration in 2024, has been on hold since January due to administrative hearings and leadership changes at the DEA. Reports indicate Trump has also discussed the idea privately with donors and with industry groups lobbying heavily for the change. While supporters highlight the economic and medical benefits, some administration members warn of political and moral risks. A decision is expected within weeks, and its outcome could reshape the national cannabis landscape. Check back with us every week to stay up to date on all the changes.
Are you in the cannabis industry? Then you need statecannabis.org. It's more than a directory. It's a powerful platform to connect with local customers, stay on top of your state's evolving cannabis laws, and promote your business directly to people who care. Advertise your products, showcase your services, and grow your presence right where it matters. Visit statecannabis.org and click on your state to get started.
Indiana may be headed for renewed debate over cannabis policy, as President Donald Trump considers reclassifying marijuana at the federal level. The move would shift cannabis from Schedule I to Schedule III of the Controlled Substances Act, in a change that wouldn't legalize it nationwide, but would ease research restrictions and give the cannabis industry access to banking services. Indiana Governor Mike Braun says such a change could add a little more fuel to the fire for legalization talks in Indiana, particularly as all 4 neighboring states have legalized some form of cannabis. The governor has indicated support for medical marijuana, but says any policy change must consider law enforcement perspectives. Despite broad public support, with 87% of Indiana adults backing legalization, state legislative leaders remain opposed. The Indiana Senate president questions medical marijuana's benefits and warns it could lead to recreational use. Meanwhile, the House Speaker Todd Houston calls cannabis harmful to mental health and dismisses revenue as a reason for legalization. With a new federal policy possibly weeks away, Indiana may soon face growing political and economic pressure to revisit its stance, with medical cannabis potentially emerging as a middle ground in the debate.
New York's cannabis social equity program has been dealt a legal blow. On August 12th, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit ruled that the state's licensing rules, which give priority to applicants with New York cannabis convictions, unconstitutionally discriminate against out-of-state applicants. The court said this violates the Constitution's Dormant Commerce Clause, which prevents states from giving their residents preferential treatment in commerce unless authorized by Congress. The case, which was brought by out-of-state applicants, linked to attorney Jeffrey Jensen, challenges provisions in the 2023 and 2024 licensing rounds. While the ruling won't immediately change New York's licensing process, it sets a precedent because it's the first time a federal appellate court has applied this constitutional principle to an adult-use cannabis market. New York regulators had already begun broadening their review of thousands of applications, but the decision could influence similar social equity programs in other states. If other federal circuits issue conflicting rulings, the matter could reach the U.S. Supreme Court, possibly reshaping cannabis licensing nationwide and even opening the door to interstate trade if federal prohibition changes.
The Massachusetts cannabis industry is at a crossroads. A ballot measure filed by Caroline Cunningham seeks to repeal the 2016 law that legalized recreational marijuana, potentially ending retail sales, banning home growing, and adding possession limits. The proposal is under review by the Attorney General and could be on the 2026 ballot. This political push comes as state regulators face their own challenges. A 2-year audit by the state auditor found oversight failures, financial misstatements, and management issues at the Cannabis Control Commission. The report was released the same day the CCC reinstated a testing lab's license after allegations it underreported contamination in over 7,000 products. The reinstatement includes fines, probation, and strict compliance measures. With over $1.6 billion in cannabis sales in 2024, and a total market worth $8 billion, both developments could dramatically change how cannabis is sold, tested, and regulated in Massachusetts. As it stands now, public trust and the stability of the legal market in Massachusetts are on the line. If you are a resident of Massachusetts and you do not agree with this new development, contact your elected official to let them know your thoughts.
Minnesota's cannabis market has a permanent leader. Governor Tim Walz has appointed Eric Taubel as the executive director of the Office of Cannabis Management after he served in the interim role since January. Taubel, OCM's first general counsel, took over during the early stages of the state's adult use rollout following legalization in 2023. So far, the Office of Cannabis Management has issued 10 microbusiness licenses and preliminarily approved nearly 1,100 more. OCM also oversees the medical cannabis program, which serves more than 56,000 patients and runs social equity initiatives for communities harmed by past prohibition. State law requires cannabis sold in Minnesota to be grown in-state, meaning the market will take time to expand, with a likely, more realized market expected by early 2026.
If you're a medical cannabis patient or thinking about becoming one, check out statecannabis.org. It's your trusted resource for state-specific info on cannabis laws, access to discounted medical marijuana certifications, and guides to help you stay compliant and informed. Just visit statecannabis.org, choose your state, and get the help you need, fast and easy.
Missouri's Division of Cannabis Regulation is taking a hard look at the state's cannabis industry and rolling out what could be its most significant rules update since recreational legalization in 2022. Released on August 7th, the proposed changes would ban business owners who've had licenses revoked from getting new ones, strengthen safeguards in the social equity microbusiness program, and require all THC used in state-licensed products to come from Missouri-grown cannabis. The proposal also includes formal product recall rules, unlimited cannabis research licenses, and annual ownership reviews for every business. This comes after high-profile cases like Delta Extraction, which lost its license for bringing in hemp-derived THC from other states. The public can submit feedback until August 21st, and if adopted, these changes could reshape compliance and consumer protection in Missouri's $4 billion cannabis market.
Our main story this week is about Texas. The fight over hemp-derived THC in Texas has been building for weeks, unfolding alongside a bitter political standoff over redistricting. In the end of July, House Bill 5, a proposal to ban consumable hemp products containing THC, was filed in the Texas House. It was read for the first time 2 days later, after a companion measure, Senate Bill 5, cleared the Senate and was expedited to the House on August 4th. Both bills would ban all hemp-derived cannabinoids except CBD and CBG, raise the purchase age to 21, and impose steep licensing and product fees. But just as the bills arrived in the House, 57 Democratic lawmakers left the state to block a Republican-led redistricting plan they say is racially discriminatory and would add 5 GOP-leaning congressional seats. The lawmakers went to the state of Illinois, where they have protection from the local governor. With Democrats gone, the House lost the quorum it needed to vote. Governor Greg Abbott demanded their return, going as far as seeking the arrest of the absent Democrats. The Texas Attorney General tried to enforce civil quorum warrants in Illinois, but on August 14th, an Illinois judge blocked the request, ruling there was no legal basis to detain them out of state. Even without a quorum, House Republicans moved ahead with a public hearing. On August 13th, the House Public Health Committee took more than 11 hours of testimony on HB 5. Opponents, including patients, veterans, and hemp business owners, warned that a ban would close shops, kill jobs, and cut off access to products many rely on for relief. As the first special session wound down without action, Texas governor immediately called a second special session starting August 15th. In his new proclamation, he shifted away from a total ban, calling instead for common-sense THC regulations to limit potency, ban synthetics like Delta 8, and set the age limit at 21, while keeping lawful hemp products on the market. With Senate leaders still pressing for prohibition and the House divided, the outcome of this second special session will decide whether Texas's booming hemp industry faces strict regulation, outright elimination, or something in between.
Florida is tightening its hemp regulations with a focus on product packaging that could appeal to children. The Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services plans to host a public workshop to discuss a proposed rule defining what constitutes a cartoon in product labeling. The rule, tied to a 2023 law, would ban imagery with comically exaggerated features, human traits on animals or objects, or superhuman abilities. Florida's Agriculture Commissioner, Wilton Simpson, says the move is part of a crackdown that has already removed more than 800,000 non-compliant hemp products from shelves. But industry attorneys say the language is too subjective and enforcement inconsistent, with inspectors interpreting the rules differently. They warn the proposal could force costly rebranding, even for companies with designs allowed in other regulated markets like alcohol. While both sides agree on protecting children from intoxicating hemp products, the debate now centers on how far the rules should go and whether they can be written in a way that provides clarity without stifling branding and free expression.
California's cannabis industry is facing scrutiny after a new state audit revealed that packaging rules meant to protect children are both unclear and poorly enforced. The state auditor's review found that more than half of the cannabis products examined featured designs likely to appeal to children, using colorful fonts, cartoon images, animals, and depictions of foods resembling popular snacks. Since legalization in 2016, accidental cannabis ingestion cases among children under 5 have soared by 469%, rising from 148 calls to poison control in 2016 to over 800 in 2023. The audit also criticized the Department of Cannabis Control for inspecting fewer than half of licensees each year, failing to track repeat violations, and neglecting to escalate penalties for offenders. The report urges lawmakers to ban certain flavors, product names, and packaging designs that may entice children, while also tightening enforcement. The DCC acknowledges challenges with subjective rules and limited resources, but agrees reforms are necessary. If implemented, these changes could significantly alter how cannabis products are marketed in California, shifting toward plainer packaging similar to tobacco controls in the name of child safety.
Michigan's Cannabis Regulatory Agency has issued a sweeping voluntary recall of more than 26,000 cannabis vape cartridges due to the presence of a banned additive, MCT oil. The affected products, under the Motor City Canna Carts and Rip Z brands, were produced and sold at 210 licensed retailers from November of 2024. While MCT oil is a common food additive, it was scrutinized during the 2019 vaping illness crisis, prompting Michigan to ban its use in cannabis vape products as a safety measure. The regulatory agency advises customers to check product tag numbers on its website and then return or dispose of the affected cartridges, and report any adverse reactions. This is the state's second cannabis product recall this year, reinforcing the ongoing need for rigorous quality testing and compliance in the industry.
Oklahoma's medical cannabis industry is facing a major testing scandal. State regulators have suspended the license of Greenleaf Labs, one of the state's largest cannabis testing facilities, after retesting found that 19,000 samples originally marked as safe actually failed yeast and mold tests. The Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority says the issue poses an immediate public health and safety risk, particularly for patients with compromised immune systems. While an official recall has not yet been issued, the agency is tracing the affected products and preparing a potential embargo. Dispensaries are being told to remove and quarantine any products now marked as test failed in the state's metric tracking system. The scope of the suspension is significant. Greenleaf works with hundreds of processors and growers, and some dispensaries could lose up to 30% of their inventory. Patients are being urged to check product testing reports and rely on state resources and industry associations like the Professional Cannabis Association for updates. This case highlights the critical role of accurate testing in the cannabis supply chain and could lead to tighter regulation and oversight of Oklahoma's cannabis testing industry.
This was the State of Cannabis News Digest, available weekly. You can listen to us on all main podcast platforms. To make sure you don't miss out on the latest updates and in-depth analysis of the cannabis industry, be sure to subscribe to our podcast. By subscribing, you'll get notifications for each new episode, helping you stay informed and ahead in the ever-evolving cannabis market. Join us next Saturday for more insights. Until then, keep thriving and stay green.